It needs to be cut off.
You're live? Shalom. With Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, come out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command GEN.YAHANNA. Since 1969, we've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians their true identities according to the Bible. You understand? And that our oppressor, the same man that has been causing us such misery and suffering in America, whether you were on the plantations, you understand, is nothing more than the goddamn devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
And today's class is going to be, the Lashawan Kwadash, or the Holy Tongue, is in a language that only blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians truly knew as a nation. You're saying as a people. No other nation out there knows what it is that we speak. You're saying it's not the Jewish man who stole our identities so long ago.
Right.
You're saying it's not no African that tried to do the same thing even long time ago. You're saying it's strictly for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
That's right.
And so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get into the alphabet for those that have not, seen previous classes. You're saying we're gonna go through and show you what real Hebrew looks like. You're saying if you are not in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under command GEN.YAHANNA, you do not know what real Hebrew looks like.
That's right.
Trooper Kumapar, if you could come up here and write out the alphabet for our viewers. Bubba Shot.
We're going to start out with the I and the ancient Hebrew. I.
If you could, go ahead and write out the whole alphabet in the English. I mean, yeah, in the English, and then write your characters above it. If you could, Bubba Shot.
Bye.
So this is a great way for people to remember the ancient and Assyrian Hebrew is you write it out first in the English, and then you go through and you put the characters above or below, whatever it belongs to.
Right.
You cheating, yo? Just try your best without looking. If you really need help, then go ahead and look. That's going to be another excellent way to study and learn the Hebrew. Or at least it was for me. I'm saying, I understand. I don't know if it's the same for other brothers. Let's take your time. Take as much time as you need. It's not a race. The whole nation needs to learn, our ancient language, what it was that our ancestors spoke. And it's not something that you can just rush through to learn.
Right.
It's lucky. Now go ahead. I stop right there. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know right now. You goofed somewhere. It's towards the beginning.
Why?
You said it and you just ignored it.
Why?
Abagada.
Oh shit. How about that? Oh, Salakia. And the why, I'm missing the why.
Yeah. It's cool though. You know what I'm saying? It's something that is completely new to our people. So hold up.
Okay. Abagada wa za.
Nope.
Lucky. Abagada. Ha.
So just go through it in your mind without looking at the alphabet first.
Abagada ha wa za sa ka ta.
Yeah, you see?
God.
He missed everything.
Oh man. So now you had the end part of it right. It was just that middle part.
God. Wa. Ga. Wa. Wa za.
Yeah, take all the time that you need. And that goes for the viewers as well. You don't want to rush through, trying to, what would you say, like comprehend the alphabet?
Right.
I'm saying you gotta take time to actually study it.
If I could.
Go ahead, Alderman.
Like when we was in, the oppressor school system, you didn't get it overnight.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
This is definitely something you ain't gonna get overnight. Like we have, what I'm saying? Our language is way more sophisticated than anything that we've been taught by our oppressor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you definitely want to take your time and remember that most of these letters have two characters in them.
Right.
I mean, two letters in them, whether you get what I'm saying? So it's not gonna be something that you just look at and like, I got this. It's definitely something that you gotta study and be versed in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yes, right.
Come. I'm gonna start out with the I in the ancient Hebrew. It's like a sideways A. And the Va. Lucky.
You can go ahead and write it off first.
Okay.
So that's definitely heavy what Officer Izar brought out. You understand? You can't just think that you're gonna look at this and then understand it within 30 minutes. Less than that.
Right.
You saying we have a complex and sophisticated language, something that is completely beyond what it is that we speak in the earth today. You understand? We are out here clicking our tongues like the Africans.
Right.
We out here, trying to be all proper and sophisticated like our oppressor. You understand? We ain't, speaking whatever chicken scratch the Asians be sitting there writing out and talking. You understand? We have a ancient language. You know, something that is going to take time to learn and to understand.
The first language.
Right. I don't think I didn't sneak you, peeking, Kumar. Just take your time. You know what I'm saying? Take all the time that you need. Like I just said, it's not something you can just rush through. You see, you can rush through your ABCs. And you can rush through, Spanish and French and German and all these other languages, but with the holy tongue, you understand, that the Lord himself speaks, this is something you got to take time to learn and to understand. Especially since we've never seen anything like this before. Us as a nation, I should say. So that's in UPK, we study such things. That's fine. I can see you were actually, struggling a little bit to find it out. It's cool.
A little rusty, you know what I'm saying?
That's fine. I'm saying it's something that people definitely have to practice, damn near every day, every other day at least.
You don't keep up with it, you'll forget it.
Yeah.
I had to knock this thing out.
Yeah. It's definitely something you got to practice. So, but once we're in the kingdom, though, you understand, this is going to be something that is going to be fluent to us, just like English, just like Spanish, just like our Hispanic brothers over there speaking.
And if I could,
go ahead, Otto.
Like that's a heavy point that if you don't, if you don't study it, you will forget it. I remember when I went back to school for my HVAC certification. You know what I'm saying? Like I was studying this every single solitary day.
Right.
But I had to take a break in order to, get my certification because I was just being overwhelmed with so much information that I had to basically, shut my brain off and just study strictly HVAC. You know what I'm saying? So like for a minute, you're still witnessing the side effects as I'm still struggling to get back to where I was with the Hebrew. Like I was doing good at first, and then I started studying for my HVAC, and it's like the portion of the brain that had the Hebrew in it, and now it has all refrigerant in it. You know what I'm saying? Like I went from knowing Hebrew to R22, R131.
You made one one mistake, and that's just because you were thinking of the Syrian Hebrew.
Must be the rock.
You already know. You already know. So it just goes to show you how quickly it comes back to you. Because once you actually learn, how to say these characters and learn the characters themselves, you know what it is, like how it is it's supposed to go.
Then this is the ancient. When we go ahead and start with the series? Or you wanna
go over the ancient?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over the ancient real quick. And so this is what the ancient Hebrew looks like. So you got your you got your ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, kwa, ra, sha, da. It might seem, super complicated at first, just because, each character has at the least, 2 letters to it. But it's really something that is simple once you sit down and you look at it, you study it, just like anything. You sit there, you try to study, let's say like calculus or psychology, sociology, biology, things of that matter. if you don't sit down and study it, you're not going to comprehend it.
Right.
You're not going to be able to sit there and, figure out, problems for calculus. You're not going to be able to figure out whatever it is that you need to know for certain things if you don't actually sit down and study them, which in the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, we study things every goddamn day.
Right.
You understand? We study this Hebrew right here. We study the scriptures. You understand? We sit there, we look at, things going on in the news, current events. We study history. We do all these things in order for us to better understand what it is that is going on and what it is that we need to know. Go ahead, Adawan.
Like you just brought it out. We study, like the scriptures say, study to show thyself approved.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you want to get good at this, that's what you have to do. You have to study, and then when you're done with that, study some more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's as simple as that. I'm saying, like the Adawan said, just study, and study some more. How you think the generals got all the knowledge that it is that they have? You know what I'm saying? As well as the captains. You know what I'm saying? They studied and studied diligently until they got all the answers that it is that they had, and they studied some more in order to properly lead this nation. No other group out here has that type of knowledge. I don't give a damn what group you belong to.
Right.
You do not have the knowledge that the I.S.U.P.K has.
That's right.
It doesn't matter if you are one of these groups that has branched off from the truth or if you are part of the Christian church.
Right.
We all know that Christianity is a byproduct of our slave masters.
Right.
Go ahead, Adawan.
If I could, 2 points that I want to bring out. I
Go ahead,
want to touch on the Christian church real quick. Like the Christian church, like a byproduct of the Christian church is studying that Judaism.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
They want to study Judaism. And it's funny though, because instead of them coming into the truth, they rather make a sub-religion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To study what the oppressor studies.
Right.
And another thing that you brought out is what's heavy. Like you said, how the generals, even to this day, still studying.
Right.
This is the only school that you will never, ever, ever graduate.
Right.
You are a forever student. So you're welcome.
Right. Once I in Christ.
You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely something you will never graduate.
Right.
You understand? No matter how high you are, unless you are, Christ or the Most High Himself, you will never fully understand everything in these scriptures right here.
Right.
You see, which is something that a lot of the nation of Israel has to understand. Because a lot of us, we put our faith in these Christian pastors. You see, and not only do we believe that he understands, all of the scriptures, but with that, with understanding the scriptures, you gotta know this language right here.
Right.
Saying these Christian pastors out here saying that the so-called Jewish man is the Lord's chosen people. Meanwhile, they don't speak ancient Hebrew.
Right.
They don't speak the Assyrian Hebrew. There is no O, J, E, V, and what's that last one? There's one more.
I won't say the vowels. There's no vowels.
No, the vowel sounds is different because there is an A in ancient. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have the vowel sounds.
So there's one more letter that it is that the so-called Jewish man does not. It's like the so-called Jewish man includes in the alphabet. You understand? In ancient Hebrew.
Is it J? Not J.
I already said J.
Okay. Hold on.
You understand? That's something that we got to realize as a people. But so many of the nation of Israel is sitting there and learning our holy tongue. You understand? The same tongue that it is that the Lord speaks.
Did you say V?
That's a V. Gone. You understand? The same tongue that it was that Christ himself spoke in the apostles. It's saying all the mighty men before the I.S.U.P.K spoke. We get our understanding from our oppressor. It's saying from the biggest thief that there is out there in the face of this earth, which is the Jewish man. You understand? But yet, when our people look at the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, under Command GEN.YAHANNA, we sit there and we disprove this alphabet right there.
Right.
You understand? We sit there and we spread all type of lies and rumors about what it is that the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge teaches. You understand? That just goes to show you how much faith we have in our oppressor, as well as how much hate we have against our own nation.
Right.
Because we'd rather believe our oppressor than our own nation, than a black man that has some type of discipline about him. Go ahead, Otto.
Right, which is a heavy point. Like they're running around saying shalom and shalom Shabbat.
Right.
What is that Shabbat part? I'm still trying to figure that shit out. Salaki. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like what is that? Because no, like that right there, what they speak is Yiddish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're so programmed that they choose to speak the language of the oppressor.
Right.
That has a broken dialect and a stolen dialect of the ancient Hebrew.
Right.
They'd rather choose to speak that. So instead of saying shalom, they will say shalom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Shalom Shabbat. I'm not even sure what that part means.
Right.
I know it's a Mortal Kombat character, but that's about it. You know what I'm saying? Like these cats, like you said, man, they tell lies and you believe the lies. You believe in, and you rather learn your language from the same people that stole your language.
Right.
Who does that?
If I could.
Go ahead.
It's like, you understand, and that even has to go into, you know, for instance, like throughout history, you understand, with the so-called Jewish man being a convert, and someone that looked to seek, you know, refuge in the Israelite customs, you understand, our culture and our gods and whatnot.
Right.
You understand, they turned to us in order to keep themselves from being murdered by all of their enemies surrounding them, like the Christians and the Arabs.
Right.
You understand? But you know, this is definitely something that our people have to realize, is that, you know, simply because our oppressor claims to speak our holy tongue, that they truly don't know it. So there's so many groups out here and so many individualites that sit there and claim to know Hebrew, but yet they are including letters that are not in the Hebrew alphabet.
Right.
They put so much trust into our oppressor, you know, that they don't even question what it is that he teaches them.
Right.
You understand? You have anything else to add on?
Lie.
All right, most high in Christ. Yeah, but this right here, this is our alphabet. This is how you say all of it. You understand? These are the characters in which you would use for the ancient Hebrew. Now we're about to go over the Assyrian Hebrew, which for the Assyrian Hebrew, we simply just change the characters, not how you say it.
Right.
And so no matter what it is that the so-called Jewish man and all these temples and individualites teach you, we did not change how it is that we say our holy tongue. You think just because we change how we say it, you think the Lord would change how he says it?
Right.
You understand? We simply change the characters in order for us to be able to speak our tongue. Because while under captivity of the Assyrians, we weren't able to speak, you know, what is it the Lord gave us. You understand? If we were caught spoken, you know, the ancient Hebrew, your tongue was burned out, it was cut out, then you could be killed. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third, everything, you know what I'm saying, you could think of would happen to us as a nation. So we had to improvise, you know, do what blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians do best, improvise, saying make the best out of the worst situation, which you can see every day out here in the ghettos, you know, in the reservations and the barrios.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and get into the Assyrian Hebrew, Triple Kumapar. You can go ahead, write them out. If you could, erase the ancient Hebrew.
It's lucky. I was gonna say he could just put it up under there.
Well, it'd be too close.
It'd be too close.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Okay. Oh shit.
What? Is that an important thing to realize about this Assyrian Hebrew and to recognize is that we simply change the characters, not how you say the characters and not how you say words, which is what the so-called Jewish man does, is he completely changed the alphabet. He's saying he added U's and V's and O's and E's.
Right.
You're saying things that don't belong in our holy tongue is what he added.
Right. And if I may,
Go ahead, Adawan.
he did that to further confound us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To get you separated as far away from your language and your culture as he possibly could.
Right. See, and that is a very heavy point you just brought out, Adawan, because there are, you know what I'm saying, I can't tell you how many battles we've had of, you know, so-called blacks or Hispanics coming up and trying to say, oh, well, you know, ancient Hebrew, it's got a U or an O or an E in it,
Right.
or J in it. You understand? Not knowing that with our oppressor being the devil that he is, you understand, the liar and the deceiver that he is, that he's not going to teach you the truth.
Right.
And that's something that we got to recognize as a people. Those of you that claim to be in the truth, you understand, you still got to recognize that our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
And he's going to do nothing but lie to you.
You do the model like this because it got to have the what is it? Between
Just do how it originally is at the top, and then how it is at the bottom. I mean, how is it at the end of the word? Do at the bottom.
But the first one is what, between two letters, or is it between two letters?
You know, based off, so the second part of it, like the second version of it, that's at the end of a word.
End of a word.
And if it's not at the end of a word, then it's going to be, you know, the other form that you're thinking of.
More boxy.
Right.
The nah. No. I'm guessing right now.
Since you're guessing, don't look back at words. Nah, if you're guessing, don't look back at words. Just keep going. I'll let you know afterwards what it is you goofed on and whatnot.
Right. Sorry. Come back to the pot.
Your pause is a little tricky.
Taza. So I got 1, 2, just catfish. me do the Tazak. I just came back to me. Yeah. Qua. I should have two more. With the pop. Figure out Qua. She's quiet. Still missing one. Car two, huh? Car.
Really, you're just missing the ka. So the ka, and then whatever it is you haven't filled in yet.
Quiet. Yeah, I'm beat. What is it, quiet? Man, that's what the pilots said. I'm cut down G. Like this. What is it? Yes. After a word, yeah. Says true. I just forgot it. I ain't been studying. I was there.
It's easy to forget if you don't study.
Right. And the quad, where's the quad? The quad. Oh, yes. Oh, man. Oh, shit. I'm tripping. Oh, yeah, I'm tripping. This is the quad. And the rod, yeah, just a little 7. I mean, 1. Oh, I'm missing the car, right? Let me see. Yeah, dang. No longer. And that's it. There we go.
One of them supposed to protrude a little bit, if I'm not mistaken.
Slucky.
Okay, no problem.
Come, you gonna
Say, now before you walk away, you should look at the characters and you can see, an obvious mistake.
This one gonna have to live.
That's one. There's another one. I'm gonna tell you, it's in here.
Could have got.
Yeah, that's another one.
There's one.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta check it out though.
That's fine. Do what you gotta do.
Okay.
It's like a remedial T.
Come on, yo.
That's a good way to remember that thing though.
T said, "Yeah," that's what that would look like.
You got
A little better?
Yeah, that looks Tawab. You just got one more in that area I circled. Well, Slacky, 2 more in that area I circled. So and that first line towards the end.
Oh, Salakia.
Yep.
Nope. You had it halfway right the first time. Nah. You had it halfway right the first time. You had an X the first time.
X. Like,
I remember I was looking at the wrong, wrong Hebrew. Salakia.
Yeah, I was about to say. He got it good.
Salakia. The glue from the teacher's head right there.
Gotta be the cars. Oh, let me see. Car. Oh, the cars. Oh. No, let me see.
Now, towards the end of the first line.
Am I?
Yeah. But which one?
I mean, I know the first one gotta be square or circle.
Mm-hmm.
Then this one's more boxy.
Nah. You can look at the second line to see where it is you messed up for the mod.
This one? That's this one messed up?
Now look at the second line. Second line, look at it. Just take a second.
Come out the side.
Yeah.
No, it's not here. Side goes more like, you know what I'm saying? Which one is that?
That's the mod.
Kind, but they say to use the handwritten one.
That is the handwritten one. It's not a circle.
Kind.
It's open, you understand?
Let me see.
Right there. That's the mod right there.
Uh-huh.
And then the saw is a complete circle, but the mod, it's like it's like a jacked up circle damn near.
Kind.
You know what I'm saying?
Kind.
It's damn near like a jacked up circle, and you gotta leave it open at the bottom.
Kind.
You see, that's how important it is to learn these characters right here.
Kind.
You think? Jacked up circle. That's just a circle, but you erase the bottom of it.
Let me see.
So medial circle.
Kind. Something like this, right?
So you can look at the chart if you got to.
Kind.
Hey, that's damn near perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, bro. Good job, bro.
If I could. We should have nah. It's cool. If you could change that nah a little bit. Like whenever, to me personally, whenever I think of like, you know, that scepter that Pharaoh has, that has a little hoop on it.
Right.
That's for the nah.
Just put it like at a little angle.
Yeah.
So
like a little loop on it.
like that one?
Well, yeah, it looks a lot better.
It's got a loop, like a loop on it.
Shorten it up a little bit.
Yeah, way more shorter.
Look.
Car. Oh, good, something like this.
That's close enough. That's close enough. That's close enough. Review them real quick.
Go.
If I could,
Go ahead, Ottawa.
the bar, just make it a little bit more, the bottom. Just make it, I mean, I know what it is, but you get what I'm saying? Just clean it up a little bit.
I think it's too wide.
Yeah, I think it's good too. Like, I know what it is, but just clean it up for, you know, anybody that's watching.
Too wide?
Yeah, that's good. That's
It's too
real
wide before, in my opinion. You understand?
good. My fault. I'll let you do your thing.
Now you're 12 out of 1.
Yeah, that's damn good, man. Let's clap that up, man.
So like, erase that little bit connecting to the line across. See?
Go.
You see this little gap right there? See, the viewers online, you might think we're nitpicking a little bit, but that goes to show you how important the characters are in themselves.
Right.
If you were to combine that right there, somebody could sit there and think that it's a ka.
Right.
So you got to be, you know, precise in what it in the characters that it is that you write out.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, some teachers say go on the handwritten, but that's what. And the handwritten, it's not going on the Syrians. On the blue letter Bible, it's gonna be like the printing.
Right. I was just gonna go over that too.
You know what I'm saying?
You say for the blue letter Bible, you know, this looks completely different. In all honesty,
Khan.
you know what I'm saying it's something that you truly got to study the Syrian Hebrew in order to understand what it is that we read during Sabbath service.
Right.
Otherwise, you're gonna be lost. You're gonna be put up your hand in the fist like Salakia. Where are we at? I've done it plenty of times.
Right. And if I could,
Go ahead, Adawan.
like, and we also got to make sure that we understand, like, we seeing this language come from like when people try to rewrite the language, you got to remember these is oppressors just doing it. So we just got to understand the basics of the characters and the characteristics of them, so we can know what we're looking at. Because when I first started off reading the Hebrew, I was in the Meccan memory.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is totally different from the blue letter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's totally different from the blue letter. But once you get the basics of the characters, you'll start to understand what you're reading and how to perceive it. Because I still do that sometimes, period. I still do that sometimes, period.
Right.
I still do that sometimes when I be like, okay, I'll think it's a ha, when really it's a ka. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's very important, like you said. You know what I'm saying?
Khan.
And another thing, if I could,
Go ahead,
like when I be reading it and I see like the ka and the na, like I gotta remember that angle, like you were saying, that curve, because when you're reading it on the computer,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying, it's very confusing.
Right.
Because the computer's not gonna put that curve into it like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important that we understand that, you know, that certain letters is gonna be shorter.
Right.
And things of that nature. Go ahead, so
Right.
Shalaki.
I would say if I could, it just depends on what you read for the Assyrian Hebrew.
Right.
Like, you know, the Jewish man being the devil he is, he only teaches our people the Syrian Hebrew and plays it off like it's the ancient Hebrew.
Right.
You understand? And he's not going, like, for most instances, like in UPK, we use either the blue letter Bible, which is what a bulk of what brothers use, or the Meccan memory. And if you use the blue letter Bible, you know, you'll see the definite curve on these two characters right here. You know what I'm saying, right. on the ka and the na.
Right.
Saying it's just, you know, that's another thing that's going to come with practice. You understand, with studying these things and being diligent.
Right.
And what it is that you need to know as a people.
Right.
You have anything else to add, Adawan?
Well, all right, go ahead and do your thing.
Nothing at all. Come on. And so these right here, these are the characters for the Assyrian Hebrew. And you'll notice for some of them that the brother put two characters, like the ka, the ma, the na, the pa, the tazah, and saying that is what usually goes at the end of a word.
Right.
You're saying when it goes to the end of the word, you end up dropping one of the letters, which would be the letter at the end. So let's say you got the ka at the end. You know what I'm saying? You put this character right here and you drop the A. You got the ma at the end, you put this character right here, you drop the A. The na, you drop the A. The pa, you drop the A. You're saying you get the gist of what it is that you do, you know, whenever a character comes at the end of it. But sometimes, I'm saying rarely, very rarely, you'll leave the A at the end of, you know, said character.
Right.
Which that comes with studying this alphabet right here. You know, it might seem confusing at first. I understand it's still confusing to some brothers in the truth, but you know, that's where studying comes into hand.
Right.
You're saying to comprehend what it is that you need to do.
Right.
And really, you can look at a word, and if it's got a character at the end, you can say it out loud, and you can tell when it is that it sounds right or if it sounds wrong.
Right.
You're saying you know when it is that you need to drop an A or leave an A and whatnot. You're saying, but these right here, you know, this is the ancient Assyrian Hebrew.
Right.
You understand? Which is something that we had to, you know, we simply had to change the characters because of the oppression that we were under by the Assyrians.
Right.
You know, under such oppression that we couldn't sit there and, you know, read a tongue that we've known since the beginning of, you know, our nation. It's like, go ahead.
A tongue since we known since the beginning of time. And it's such a heavy thing that you're bringing out.
Right.
Because like you're saying, all through captivity, no one wanted you to be true to your roots.
Right.
No one wanted you to be true to who you are. And it's even a problem even today. In 2020, when black people are coming into their own and learning who they are according to the Bible, what do they call them? They call them black extreme identities. I can't say the word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Go.
Basically, they're saying that for you to learn who you are is a threat.
Right.
For you to learn your language is a threat. Go ahead.
It's like just to branch off about you're talking about black identity extremists.
That's it.
And whatnot. You understand? If you aren't part of that, then you believe that blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are nothing more but heathens.
Right.
When that is what our oppressor is.
Right.
No matter how high and mighty he builds himself up to seem, you understand? That is for the so-called Africans and Arabs, East Indians and Asians. These other nations outside of the nation of Israel are considered heathens.
Right.
Go ahead, Adawan.
If I could. So to the oppressor,
right,
to speak the Lashawan Kwadash,
right,
is an extreme thing for you to do.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they are now perceived as a threat.
Right.
Because you are learning your tongue.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But you was never perceived as a threat to learn English.
Right. If I could, Slaggy, you never perceived as a threat to learn what it is a Jewish man speaks.
Right.
And he claims to speak the Lashawan Kodash.
Right.
He you know, he makes himself to perceive to speak what it is our ancestors spoke.
Right.
You understand? Even though our ancestors were, you know, so goddamn militant and about keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. Go ahead.
That's such a heavy point you're breaking out. Because here's the thing. If you ever opened up like one of them language books or whatever, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even like for brothers that's been to court, you get what I'm saying? Like brothers that been to trial or whatever.
Yeah.
And they give you a piece of paper that says, you know what I'm saying, if you need an interpreter, in what language do you speak? So if Yiddish is Hebrew, right?
Right.
Why do they have Yiddish on there and then they have Hebrew on there? And they have Assyrian on there.
Right.
Because they're all different languages.
Right.
So if Yiddish is supposed to be Hebrew, then why is it considered its own language?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So that's how you know the oppressor is. That's what their whole goal is, to keep you from actually speaking Hebrew.
Right.
They want you to speak the Yiddish.
Right.
That's why they promote it and push it so tough.
And that's such a heavy point, Adawan. You know what I'm saying? Because if these people really spoke the ancient Hebrew, the Syrian Hebrew, some form of Hebrew, they would call it Hebrew. They would not call it Yiddish.
Right.
They would not have it under the title of Yiddish.
Right.
They would not. You're saying you couldn't sit there and Google Yiddish, the Yiddish language, and what it is that the Jewish man speaks pop up.
Right.
You understand? That is a heavy point you brought out. Go ahead.
So you look at that. So that's actually what it's called, Yiddish.
Right.
Come on. And you can sit there and you can type in the Yiddish alphabet and what it is that these people speak, the so-called chosen people of the Lord, and Yiddish will come up.
You'll see Shalom.
Yeah, come on. You see Shalom. You see Shabbat Shalom.
Right.
Whatever the nonsense that they got out there that is not in this Hebrew alphabet right here.
Right. The whole alphabet is different.
Come on. You understand? They add so many characters and so many different combination of letters that it is absurd.
Right.
You understand? Damn near stupidic.
Right.
You understand? But yeah, our people sit there and we view our oppressor as someone that is so high and so mighty, someone with such understanding and such knowledge. You understand?
Right.
But yeah, these people are nothing but goddamn idiots.
Right.
You understand? You have something you want to add?
No,
All right, no sweat. Say, but this right here, this is the alphabet. You know what I'm saying? The alphabet of our ancestors, the Lashawan Quadash, the holy tongue. And what we went over is the characters that go with, you know, these combination of letters.
Right.
You're saying you can go ahead and review the video if you have to in order to, you know, see how it is that you write out such characters. Go ahead, Ottawan.
And it's heavy, like the Lashawan Quadash,
Right.
which means holy tongue.
Right.
Which means even through all the oppression, even through all the trials and tribulations that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians have suffered, this language is still separate.
Right.
That's why it's called the holy tongue. Holy means separate.
Right.
This language is separate from everything else. That's why the oppressor has his Yiddish, and we have the Hebrew.
Right.
So it's just heavy the way the Most High has showed so much mercy, to even to the point that he kept our language separate, and the only people that teach it is here in the I.S.U.P.K. under Commander Gen.YAHANNA.
That's right. So if I could, you're saying how you brought out how it's heavy that we got our own separate language. You understand? Like we got our own, not only characters that it is that we use for our alphabet, but we got our own way to say our alphabet.
Right.
You understand? Our oppressor, he adds different type of letters into our alphabet to try to make it seem like, you know, it's something that is normal for all the nations to do.
Right.
Saying like the U and the V and the O and whatnot. You saying when in reality, you know, we use, you know, such a tongue that none of these other nations would even be able to comprehend or understand.
Right.
So you might sit there and say, oh, well, the Chinese language, their language is more complex and difficult to understand and learn.
Salaki.
Go ahead, Otto.
They eat bats. Ain't nobody trying to do that.
Right. That's like the brother brought out. You know what I'm saying? These people, they eat bats. You know what I'm saying? You're saying they are incest children and mongoloids.
Right.
So you cannot expect these slow people to do something that outdoes the tongue of the Lord.
Right.
It's in Lashawan Quadash.
Right. And if I could, to show you how ignorant these people are and how really full of hate they are.
Right.
Okay. So when they come over here, they speak some of the most broken European language that you could hear, called English. They speak some of the most broken English ever.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, but they take more pride in knowing that you can't speak Japanese or Chinese than they do not being able to speak English. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
For them, it's an insult that you can't. You the stupid one for not speaking their language.
Right.
You're not stupid for not speaking yours.
Wow.
But here we have a obscenity like we need to learn English and understand English, when really we need to feel the same way that these other goddamn heathen nations feel about their language, about ours. We need to feel like you stupid for not understanding what the hell I'm saying.
Right.
Right.
I don't need to know your language. I need to know my language, because every other nation can come over here and keep their own language, their own alphabet, their own tongue. And there's a reason behind that, because this language is the most powerful language on the planet.
Right.
This is the language the Most High speaks. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
Like, we all know the story of the Tower of Babel.
Right.
And how it came to be. You get what I'm saying? The earth was of one language. If the earth was of one language, what was that one language?
Right.
It was Hebrew.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? That one language was Hebrew, the very first. And then the Lord sent the angels down to do his bid, which was confuse the world and give out the other languages.
Go ahead. If I could, that was a heavy point that you brought out. Not only with, you know, understanding other languages and ancient languages, but what our oppressor realizes, and these other nations, is that the most ancient of languages are written from right to left.
Right.
You understand?
Damn right.
And the most ancient of the languages that all nations spoke, so like that all people spoke, you understand, before the Lord started dividing them up into nations, is Hebrew.
Right.
And he's saying they would sit there and say Abba, Gada, Ha, Waza, Kata, so on and so forth.
Right.
They want to speak whatever nonsense it is that they speak today.
Right. And if I could,
go ahead.
That's proven in the archaeology today.
Right.
The deeper they dig, the more Hebrew they find.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like they sick of digging up Hebrew stones. They sick, and it's coming from blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Everywhere they go now, they see that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians was there, and they see the goddamn Hebrew writing, and it makes them sick to their stomach. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, just to branch off from that, you understand? Like they found multiple artifacts in, Puerto Rico,
Right,
and Brazil, and New Mexico, and in America of Hebrew writing.
right.
You understand? They found the characters
Right.
here in the United States. They found the characters in South America where they believe the people will be nothing but, drug addicts, drug dealers, gang bangers.
Right.
You understand? There is a reason that this language was found in these areas. It's because the Lord's chosen people was dwelling in these territories.
Right. Damn right.
You understand? And the only people that's been dwelling in these territories is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Nobody else.
Damn right.
I don't see no Jewish man in South America.
Right.
I didn't see no Jewish man amongst the so-called Native Indians.
Right.
But you know who I did see? I saw people with, so-called melanin. I saw so-called African Americans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Negroes.
Damn right.
I saw so-called Mexicans and Ecuadorians and Panamanians and Cubans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The list goes on and on. I'm saying Trooper Kumar could list them out, you know what I'm saying, for days.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I saw so-called Native Indians, the Seminole Indians. These are the people that had these artifacts.
Right.
These are the people that wrote in this ancient language.
Right.
But yeah, our oppressors deceived us and made us think that, those that sit there and claim to know this Hebrew without even backing it up with facts are the Lord's true chosen children. You understand? Say, Trooper Kumar, if you could, go ahead and erase that. And we're going to get into the different nations upon the face of this earth. You saying one thing our people need to realize is that all the nations on this earth today, all the nations that were on the earth back then, they are on the earth today. You're saying there's no more nations than the Lord created previously. And we're going to start with the nation of Israel. If you could, to the left. If you could, to the left, write Israel, and then write Yasher Allah next to it. And then write it out in the ancient Hebrew and the ancient Assyrian. I told you the Yasher Allah part. That way you can know, gives you an idea of how the character should go. I'm going to write a little smaller. That way you can fit it all up there. So we're going to try to get as many nations as we can on that one board. Hey, you want some? Right, Israel, and then put a dash and put Yasher Allah. If you don't know how to spell Yasher Allah, just let me know. Close. Get rid of the L and the A and put an H and an LA. There you go. Yeah, and then go ahead and write out, go ahead and write it out in the ancient Hebrew and then the Syrian Hebrew.
Hey, Shalom, Queen Park.
Yo, Bashir, Yeah.
Everything good with you?
Lucky. Sha. Ra. Ra.
So take your time with them characters.
Come.
Don't be rushing through it. You know what I'm saying? We got all the time in the world.
Come.
Saying time's getting a little shorter with World War III approaching. We got time.
Come. La. ISRAELITES. Ya, the Sha, the Ra, the Ha, the La.
No. You got one of the characters. All right. I'm gonna let you know right now your problems in here.
So lucky about that.
No, you're good. You're good. You're saying take your time.
Like,
Oh, you're so close.
Salakia.
You're so close.
Salakia.
It damn near makes me upset.
The Ya, the Sha.
Right there. That's what's wrong.
There's gotta be, what is that? It must be backwards.
Just read out this word right here, and then match it up with the characters.
Ya. Ya. Sha. Ra. Ha. La. Still confusing me, Salakia.
I'm still confused.
Kalka. The Ha. So, Kalka. I think that's right. Yeah. Sha. Ha.
Add your connectors. I might help you out.
Oh, it's right. No?
I think what's confusing you is you think in here is something that's not. So what it should be is the ah.
That's right. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how is I'm somehow confused with that.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking about?
Kalka.
Most High in Christ.
Well, hey, I'm real confused though.
So
Oh, it's Salakia.
you know what I'm saying?
Allah.
Yeah,
Salakia. You know what I'm thinking? Rahala. No,
yeah, God.
Oh,
So I'm just gonna get in here real quick.
Kalka.
See, what the brother was confused about is instead of a ha being right there is an ah. It's Yasher Hala.
Gun.
You understand? And then the connector right there, you know what I'm saying, combines them two together. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's the only place confusion was about, which goes into how important it is to sit here and study the Hebrew. To learn it, to learn these characters, to learn how to say, said characters. It's just not something that you can sit there and brush off and blow through and expect you to be fluent in it. You understand? At most times it'll take more than a year for you to understand, which, most times in the school year, you know, the school that we, you know, the schooling we learn from our oppressors, you can learn a language in 1 or 2 years. You understand? Learn their characters, learn how to say words and whatnot.
Right.
But in order to get back to this holy tongue, you gotta diligently and constantly study set of characters, set of words. You understand?
Right.
But go ahead and write it out in the Assyrian form of Shah.
Come.
If you could, either do it to the left or to the right, because we're gonna put another nation underneath the nation of Israel.
Come. Yeah.
Make sure you take your time with it.
Come.
So with those of you in the ISUPK, you understand, it should be easier for you to learn the Syrian Hebrew rather than the ancient Hebrew, because every Saturday during Sabbath service, you sit there and you study the Syrian Hebrew. You understand? That's what you got to read once you become an officer in the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Do your connectors.
Lucky, no connectors.
That's not what I learned.
Lucky.
That's the one.
Not in the serious. That's why it's more easier.
No sweat. Towards the, I'm just gonna circle it for you.
Come.
Right here is wrong.
The Yah, Shah, and the Ra.
Wait, so yeah, no, that one right there is wrong.
The Ra.
Oh wait, Salaki. My bad, yo. I'm goofing. My bad, Salaki. Salaki. I'm messing up. Go ahead and do the nation of Edom.
Edom.
Okay, so write out Edom.
Try to switch it up on me, huh?
The test. Just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit. If you could.
I was thinking something else.
Write it down here for me.
Oh, God.
That way you can do the same thing you did right there.
Yeah, what's that question?
Yeah.
Tell you the truth, this is my problem.
Hey, you ain't the only one. And not every brother's going to be fluent in Hebrew.
Come.
So you got Edom. And like you did up here, put out of one Salaki. Out of one.
Come. So is that right? Or do I need the H? Out of one. With an L, no?
Wum. Out of wum.
Oh, so lucky.
And you do need the H.
Yeah, it's like it. That's how I, you know what I'm saying? What's better for me is to remember these names, to write out my Hebrew.
Like to remember the Hebrew names?
The best way, like, you know, for the test and shit. I remember this name. I write out in English. I remember the English.
Khan.
You know what I'm saying? That's the best way.
Khan, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Khan.
So that's gonna be important for the people online to recognize, is that if you sit there and you remember how it is that you say it in the Hebrew, then you can easily sit there and write out the characters.
Khan.
You just got to remember what it is that the characters go to.
Khan. See, that's the Adawam.
Khan.
Adawama.
Yeah, you just drop the A at the end.
Khan. Let me connect these.
Khan.
Oh, so the I. Nada. Why? My.
Slack.
Other woman.
Your count. Go ahead and write out for me in the Assyrian Hebrew.
Come. Right. Da. Oh, it's at the end.
God, that's perfect. Doc. It's
What?
perfect. You can't even tell it's you, Rusty.
Karokan.
So you could.
Karokan.
You know what I'm saying? So the nation of Edom, which is something that our people, are having such a hard time to comprehend, recognize. Go ahead.
The nation of Edom is the Edomites.
Right.
As what I want to say is so-called oppressor.
I was gonna already get
Esau.
into it. You understand? Edom is the nation that oppresses us every day inside the land of America. You understand? They come from their forefather, which is Esau. Saying, come apart, Slack, if you could, get a Bible for me and pull up the book of Genesis, chapter 25 and verse 25.
Genesis. Oh, Salakia. Salakia.
Nah, get a Bible.
I know that. No, I know what I'm saying. I know that one. Genesis 25 and 25. Oh, Salakia. That's my favorite one. Salakia.
Shoot, my favorite one is Romans
9:13.
9:13. God.
First, you got to hit him with the Roman 9:13. Then you got to go back to Esau, Genesis 25 and 25.
Right.
God, in that order.
You understand? This is something important for our people to realize, because we sit there and we think that, our oppressor is the so-called Arab. You understand? When in reality, the only one that this scripture right here fits is our so-called oppressor. You understand? The so-called Britain or German, Frenchman, Spaniard, so-called American. This scripture only fits one nation of people. Go ahead.
Genesis 25, verse 25. And the first came out red.
First came out what?
Red.
What?
Red.
Say it again.
And the first came out red.
And the first came out red. You understand? Because his blood showed through his skin. Our oppressor, the so-called American, Spaniard, Frenchman, German, Russian, Britain, whatever title it is that he goes under, he is the only one that has came out red throughout the face of this earth. And the Holy Bible, this book right here, it makes a note to mention the color of his skin, because he is the only one that has came out this color. You understand? The Asian, the Arab, African, he's Indian, nation Israel. You understand? None of these people have ever came out to where their blood shows through their skin. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's go to the left a little bit. Go ahead.
All over like an hairy garment.
Like a what?
Hairy garment.
So this man, he was red all over. You know what I'm saying? He was hairy all over like a garment. So there's only one nation of people that is hairy all over like a garment.
Right.
And that is our oppressor. You can see him out here every day jogging in the ghettos that he's gentrified. You understand? Jogging in the reservations and the barrios that he sat there and he's, made his stronghold in. and you can see him with a hairy back, hairy arms, you understand, hairy chest. You understand, everywhere that you can see this man is hairy all over. Go ahead.
And they called his name Esau.
Called his name what?
Esau.
And our oppressor's forefather's name is Esau. You understand? I believe Slakia. Slakia never.
Now Edom.
That's what I was looking.
Oh, Salakia, right here.
John, and hold that for real. You understand? And that is the forefather of our oppressor. You understand? This red man that has gone through conquering and raping and stealing, you understand, and lying and doing whatever it is that he can to get the riches that belong to the nation of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's who this nation right here belongs to. I want you to skip the verse, what is it, 26? 30. The water. Go and skip the verse 30, and this is the first mention of the nation of Edom. You understand? It's gonna show you who the forefather is of this nation right here. Go ahead.
Genesis 25, verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage.
Same what?
Pottage.
It's like red.
Red pottage.
Same what?
Red pottage.
And the same red pottage. And everybody, and I can't stress this enough, everybody knows that our oppressor sits there and he eats raw meat. You understand? Meat that has blood still coming up out of it.
Right.
When this scripture says red pottage, it's talking about, pottage that is not fully cooked.
Right.
It's got meat in it. It's still got blood in it.
Right.
There's only one nation that truly does that, and that has some type of joy in doing such things. See, that's why you can go out on the internet every goddamn day and you can look up a video of a devil sitting there and eating raw meat. You understand? Making some type of income off of it because they have no problem with doing so. Go ahead.
For I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
Called what?
Edom.
Called what?
Edom.
Called what?
Edom.
Say it louder.
Edom.
I'm saying his name was called Edom. This was Esau that needed that red pottage. And because he sat there and he ate all his raw meat, you understand, he gave up his birthright, his name was called Edom. So that is the overall name of this nation right here.
Right.
Saying, if you could, just because our oppressor sits there and claims to be, the children of Israel, sits there and tries to take our identity, I want you to go to book of Jeremiah, chapter 14 and verse 2. Because it don't matter how much our oppressor sits there and says, oh, we're the Lord's chosen people, and the Lord blesses so-called Christians and all this other nonsense. If you are not of the nation of Israel, you understand, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the Lord truly don't give a damn about you. And this Bible right here tells you who the nation of Israel is. So we're gonna get to the bottom of who, the nation of Israel is. We're gonna get to the bottom of who blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians truly are. Because, past, us being in East Africa or being, the Mayans or whatever, native tribe there is out there, we don't know who we are as a nation. Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2.
Go ahead.
Judah mourneth.
Judah what?
Mourneth.
Judah mourneth. You're saying the so-called Jewish man sits there and he claims to be of the tribe of Judah. He sits there and he claims to be of the Lord's chosen people. But the scripture says Judah mourneth. And Judah will forever mourn until we start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
Because in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, it tells you how our people will be under curses until we come back to the Most High God. And once that happens, shoot, the kingdom of heaven is put into place. You understand? About the so-called Jewish man, he is not mourning out here. He is not being killed in the ghettos and having, crack pumped into his communities and being, complete drug addicts to the point to where you can't even function. You're saying he's not sitting there and mingling outside of his nation. You're saying furthering his destruction. The so-called Jewish man is not mourning. He's saying, especially with all the money that it is that they've gotten from the, U.S. Government. They're not mourning from all the power that they've accumulated throughout the years since World War II and even before then. Saying these people, they are thriving, which is something that the nation of Israel, especially so-called blacks, have to realize, is that the so-called Jewish man is not the chosen, seed of the Most High God. Most of us sit there and we want to, simply say, oh, well, for whatever reasons, oh, well, they're the Lord's chosen people. Right. You know what I'm saying? So much so that we sit there and we follow their teachings. We consider ourselves, Khazarians, which is what the Jewish man is, someone that has adopted our culture. We consider ourselves as someone that has adopted the culture of our oppressor, instead of the Jewish man, when that's nowhere near the case at all. Go ahead.
Come. And the gates thereof languish.
And the gates thereof languish. And the gates resemble, protection, which it's obviously something that the so-called Jewish man does not need. The so-called Jewish man, he has protection 24/7. He gets protection from the U.S. military. You understand? He's got his own military to back up whatever nonsense it is that he's talking. You understand? Our oppressor does not need any type of protection. He's been ruling this earth for 400 plus goddamn years. Right. You understand? So-called Jewish man is the one that sold so-called Negroes into slavery. You understand? They gave the funding in order to ensure that we became slaves. Which if they were, and I mean if they were the Lord's chosen people, they would do no such thing. You understand? Because the Lord's chosen people, we have some type of compassion for these other nations, for all the wrongdoing that is done to them. But yeah, our oppressor, being the devil that he is, he can simply go out and, put up whatever funds needed in order to ensure that another nation becomes slaves. They become destroyed. Right. You know what I'm saying? That does not fit the scriptures right here. You know what I'm saying? Because if what our oppressor was doing, you know what I'm saying, if all this nonsense they were doing and built up to them fitting these scriptures, then all the nations would be slaves. You know what I'm saying? The Africans and Arabs, East Indians, Asians, and I don't even want to say our oppressor because they belong to the same nation. You understand? They would all be slaves to the so-called Jewish man. But that's not the case. He's sitting here living, amongst them and reaping their benefits and doing what it is that he can in order to, come up above these other nations. Go ahead.
They are black unto the ground.
They're what?
Black unto the ground.
What?
Black unto the ground.
They are black unto the ground. He's saying, so Judah mourneth, they are black unto the ground. So that gives you a description of the tribe of Judah, which is the tribe that the so-called Jewish man claims to be from. When the scriptures say they are black unto the ground. And if you look at the ground is different shades of brown. You understand? The ground resembles that of a black man. You understand? This brother right here, if you could lower that Bible book shot. It's saying this is one of the shades that you can find in the ground. You're saying it can come lighter, it can come darker. It doesn't matter, what shade it is you search for. But I know one shade you cannot find, and the whole earth knows the shade you cannot find, which is the shade of our oppressor. The shade of the so-called Jewish man, which is red.
Right.
Is that the end of that scripture?
And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up.
The cry of Jerusalem has gone up. And so, the water. He's saying so the so-called Slavic, so the Judites, you know what I'm saying, the so-called African Americans, so-called Negroes, they were oppressed so much that their cries continue to go up to the Most High God. It's even when we're in the Christian church, we sit there and we pray about our lives. We pray about the destruction that it is that we have suffered by the hands of our oppressor. You understand? And these said cries have gone up to the Lord. He's saying, even though, because you don't know the Lord's name, he's saying that you don't sit here and keep the law, statutes, and commandments, the Lord's not going to hear said cries. He's saying, our people still sit there and pray to some type of being, no matter what it is. It could be, the Christian God, which is a white God. It can be the God of an African, which is, Lord knows what. You're saying it might be a man with a goddamn dog's head on the body. It might be a tree. Saying it might be a pile of dung. It might be a rod. You never know what it is. Our people, we sit there and we pray to such things, which is something that is completely, outside of our culture as a nation. Trooper Kumapar, you could give me book of Romans chapter 9 and verse 13. Saying, because we already went over how Esau is the forefather of Edom. You understand how his name was changed to Edom, and how it is that our oppressor, belongs to this nation. But one thing we got to recognize as a people is no matter how much we sit there and we love this nation of people, you understand how it is that the Lord feels about such people. Give me whenever you're ready.
Romans 9 and 13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved.
Jacob what?
Have I loved.
Jacob have I loved.
That's right.
Which is the forefather of so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
So naturally, friends, if you sit there and you love, a certain individual, you're going to eventually, love his children.
Right.
And the same thing goes for Jacob. You understand? So no matter how much we sit there and we believe that, no matter what teachings it is that our oppressor has shown us, that, God hates us and loves us, our oppressor, so-called white man, that's not the case. The scriptures will tell you who the Lord loves and who the Lord hates, who the Lord views as being nothing and who he views as being his everything. Go ahead.
But Esau have I hated.
But who?
Esau have I hated.
Who?
Esau have I hated.
One more time.
Edom have I hated.
So like, you read that correctly. But
Esau have I hated.
But Esau have I hated. So we learn to where Esau, his nation would be called Edom. You understand? The Lord hates, Esau, the forefather of the nation of Edom. So naturally, you are not going to like, the children that this person that you hate brings forth. You understand? But that's something natural. It's like Officer Azaf. I could. If you was beefing with a nigga in the world, you understand? You have such hatred for him, you want to gun him down and whatnot. Are you gonna love his children?
Oh man, when I was in the world, like I'm gonna just tell you,
because speak up a little bit.
When I was in the world, it was it ain't even got to be your kids, whoever you talk to.
Right.
It's a problem with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, and that's proven in today's society when you see now.
Right.
How many times have you, like, it's a show called First 48.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure everybody that's seen it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How many times have you seen the show First 48, where not only do they kill the mother and the father, but they kill the kids too?
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Say if I could.
Go ahead.
You know, say not to cut you off or anything, Adawan, but that even if you can look in the news, you can see every day where there's a drive-by and a child is killed in said incident.
Right.
You see, a man or woman is sitting there taking care of their children, carrying them out, putting them in the car, instead of playing with them, and without any type of hesitation or remorse. You're saying a brother in the world, he'll sit there and he'll gun down said children.
Right.
If it means killing that person.
Right.
You understand? So that just goes to show you how deep a hatred can go for, you know, an individual.
And that'd be their mindset if I could.
Go ahead,
like they'd be like, I don't care how many people die,
right?
As long as you're one of them,
right?
Like that'd be their mindset,
right? Saying you absolutely right, Lashawan. That is 100% the mindset of a Jake in the world. You know what I'm saying is as long as I take out something that you love, you know,
right?
As long as you suffer, I'm cool,
right?
You understand? Well, the mindset, like, there's a reason that our people have that type of mindset of if I hate this person, I'm gonna hate their children.
Right.
They're saying if I want to cause harm to this person, I won't hesitate to harm their children. You're saying, go ahead.
Only time you see that is in the movie when they, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
When they kill their parents and then they use their son to be what? To come up to be a drug dealer or something like that.
Right.
Only time you see that. You know, other than that, nah, they ain't gonna take care of nobody's children, none of that.
Right.
You know? Have love for them.
Right. Say, yo, you swap. The Lord has that same mindset. Just like the Lord don't give a damn about Esau, he don't give a damn about his children. The so-called nation of Edom or Adumia. It's like out of Wam, it's like you swap.
There's noise over here.
It's like I think you could. Tell me.
We're at 8:30.
Give me Moab if you could.
Cut them, come.
So our Moab underneath Edom.
Mara,
Moab.
Mana, Ara.
I'll tell you the pronunciation.
But I'm trying to remember it.
Just go ahead and write down Moab. And then if you feel like it,
Ara.
yeah, you just gotta know how to spell it.
Moab, Moab. Ma.
Take your time.
Like the other one.
You're close. Oh, go ahead.
All of them
Just erase from this back. The yeah, there you go. Ma-wa. Abba.
Ma-wa.
Abba.
Wow. What's that called? Wow. So I gotta take my notes down. You know
right.
Ma-wa. Abba. See, I had ma-wa. I don't know what the hell I had.
That's why phone call. Okay, so go ahead and write it out in the ancient Hebrew and the Syrian Hebrew if you could. So if you need to, I'll show you after class.
If you got a whole thing of notes like that,
I got you.
Most High Christ. Ma-wa. Abba.
Cut.
Most High Christ. Ma. Oh, English. Oh, ancient.
Mm-hmm.
Ma. At the beginning of a word, when it goes something like this. This is the funky one.
Right.
Ma. Wa. Ba.
40. That's on this road. That's on this road.
That's your class. Do what you're gonna do.
Oh, so like ancient, serious. Mawa Abba, no connectors. Not connected.
That's supposed to be ancient right there.
Oh, so I like it. I'm just a little ancient with the little. I mean, serious. I like it. Oh, so that's yeah, my bad.
And you got one more after that.
How? Pause that right?
The ba. It's a ba, not a pa.
Oh, I'm tripping. Left.
John, you got it. Now
Go,
give
go.
me the Syrian Hebrew if you could.
Go.
All right. Come.
Ma, the wa. Ba. Yeah. Hangman.
That's how I remember it, honestly.
I was about to. You know what I'm saying? Hangman. Yeah.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? Moab or Mawa'aba. You understand how you say it in the ancient Hebrew, how you say it in the Syrian Hebrew, which Moab is the so-called Chinese man. It's in the same man that has, done his thing and caused the Lord's plague to come upon the face of this earth by eating bats and all types of abominable things. You understand? Which one thing we got to realize is that the nation of Moab and Ammon are nothing more than mongoloids. You understand? A nation of people that are slow in the goddamn head, which are people we, view them as being so highly, and someone that is just, just beyond, human, what am I looking for here? Like recognition or comprehension. You understand? When these people right here are nothing but incest babies. If you could, go ahead and give me Ammon down here. So right off Ammon.
Ammon, I would always just say almond.
Yes, Ammon.
Almond.
Ammon. Ammon.
Hey.
And then how you say his name in the Hebrew is I'm a one.
Shit, let me guess, Laka.
So if you could put that a little lower.
Come.
Because this will be our last word right here. Then I'm a one. I ma.
Oh, Salakia.
It's Wab.
I should be knowing Salakia too.
It's Wab.
Ma. I already got it. Look, Salakia. I remember this.
And Most High in Christ.
Most
High in Christ.
Ancient. I, ma. One. What? Easy money. And the nah. Nah, it's gonna be regular.
Joshua, give me the Assyrian Hebrew.
Come. Come on.
Select.
Wow. The end of a word, the nah.
Put a little more. Think of like a. I think of like a pharaoh's.
Oh, so like you just told me that.
A pharaoh's scepter whenever I
Luke.
think of the knot.
That or
Yes, to what? As dinner, what I picture whenever I think of the knot that comes at the end of the word.
ride or something, right?
Yeah. You understand? So this is how you say, the nation of Ammon in the Assyrian Hebrew, and then in the ancient Hebrew. You understand? But one thing our people got to recognize is these two nations we view as being so highly, someone that has such ancient culture to them, so sophisticated and, something that we can't, quite understand as a people. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we are the ones that cause all the great things that happen in this culture.
Right.
All the samurai and all their beautiful buildings and sceneries that were built, that is because the nation of Israel when it comes to the Japanese. When it comes to the ancient Chinese, and their beautiful structures that were built, that is because of the nation of Israel. It's not because of a bunch of incest babies, that are nothing more than, mongoloids. These people don't comprehend what it is that the nation of Israel did.
All right.
Go ahead.
Amen is the like I got it.
I just said it.
Arab, right?
Nah. Ishmael is the Arab. This is so-called Japanese.
Moab is Chinese.
Moab Chinese. Ammon is the so-called Japanese. That's why I brought up with Ammon, which is why I brought up the samurai. Because our people, we like to glorify, the so-called Japanese with their samurai and the samurai's way of life and whatnot. When in reality, that was, the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
That sat there and gave the samurai, their ideals and this glorification, this that it is that people view them with.
Right.
You understand?
Shalom
Christ, I don't want.
I'm gonna walk him over quick.
So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and hand the class over to Trooper Kumapar for the closing announcements and the prayers. It's over here, Kumapar.
Oh, most high Christ. It's ready.
You do the prayers too. What do I do?
And if I do it, I do the Hebrew, you do the English.
All right, that's fine.
I'm going to do that.
You can just hand it with me for the prayers.
Now this up. I.S.U.P.K. security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. there is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 to 21. Malachi 3 and 8 to 10 means 10th in Hebrew. Mashariah, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher priest funds. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations, which is the Passover, which has been postponed. What other one?
Supposed to be April 9th. It's postponed until next month.
Supposed to be April 9th, postponed to April 9th.
It's like postponed until next month.
Till next month.
Okay.
It's like it's April 10th.
April 9th was supposed to be this month,
But today is April 10th, right?
but Passover was April 9th. Postponed until next month.
Damn, we would have been getting in lucky. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know that. Damn. Okay. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, scarf. And with that, a majum, which means to rise. Hapagum hakodam.
Wapanya Hakwadam.
Wapangum.
Wapanya.
Wapanya hakodam, which
right.
means turn and face to east. The Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanawu. Sabashamayim. Put dots. Hayda. Shimka. Yahaw. Malakuka. Taba'a. Vazayaka. Hayan. Asha. Barataza. Kawa. Haya. Bashamayim. Nathan. Lanawa. Lakam. Call. Yawam. What's a lakwanawa?
What's the luck now?
Kaba wafanawa. Kasa wafanawa. Kaba wafanawa. Wala Double nawa.
Take your time.
Double nawa. But it's a one. Above.
Take your time.
How was it now?
Take your time.
How was it now?
I was shy now.
How was shy now? My young. Right. Kaya. Lemka. Hamalakwa. Wala ala. Bata pala. La alawayim.
Take your time.
La alawayim.
That will love you.
Wala layim. Aman.
Yeah, take your time.
Karukan.
There's no rush, especially for the prayers.
We're going over the Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh. Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth. As it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debt. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. Amen.
Hakat in the Hebrew. The power in the Hebrew. Yahweh. By Hashem Yahushua. Barakashah. Nathamanahu. Hakat. Latapar. Call Makalala.
Take your time.
What call? Mother what? Hakat.
Take your time.
Latan.
Latahar. Hamatazayim. Hamatazarayim. Hakat. Hakak. Lahakwathium. Lahakium. Hamathium. Hamathium. Hakat. Hakak. Avaqualum.
Take your time. So the first one by itself if you got to.
Avaquawat. Arakawat. Hamala'al. Hatama'al. Lagosh. Hatama'al. Hatama'al. Lagosh. Lagosh. Bahashim. Bahashim. Yahusha. Yahusha. The one I'm The one I'm The prayer for the power in the English. Yahweh! Yahweh! In the name of Yahushua! In the name of Yahushua! Please give us the power! Please give us the power! The power to heal! The power to heal! All manner of sickness! All manner of sickness! And all manner of disease! And all manner of disease! The power to cleanse the lepers! The power to cleanse the lepers! The power to raise the dead! The power to raise the dead! The power against unclean spirit! The power against unclean spirit! To cast them out! To cast them out! In the name of Yahushua! In the name of Yahushua! Thank you! Thank you! So be it! So be it! Blessings in Hebrew! Barakatah! Barakatah! Why Yahushua? Why conquer?
Slow down. Sound it out.
Why Allah? Why Allah?
Why Maka'ala?
Why Maka'ala?
It's like one Yaka'ala. Yaka'ala.
One Yaka'ala.
One Maka'ala.
What are you?
What are you?
Matasa Bayad.
Matazal,
Matazat Bayad. Matazat Ya'ad. Matazab Ya'ad. Alawat Yahanna. Alawat Yahanna. Alawathium. Alawathium. Hasarayum. Hasarayum. Hakwasasayum. Hakwasasayum. Hakasayayum. Hakayayum. Quathium. Quathium. Yahweh. Yahweh. Hashem. Hashem. Yahushua. Yahushua. The Wadaman. The blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh. Bless you, Yahweh. And Yahushua. And Yahushua. And Michael. And Michael. And the angel. And the angel. Commanding General Yohanna. Commanding General Yohanna. The general. The general. The captain. The captain. The officers. The officers. The troopers. The troopers. And the sister. And the sister. Yahweh. Yahweh. In the name of Yahushua. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you. Thank you. So be it. So be it. Blessed are you, Yahweh. Blessed are you, Yahweh. King of heaven and earth. King of heaven and earth. And all things living. And all things living. Yahweh. Yahweh. In the name of Yahushua. In the name of Yahushua. Listen to us now. Listen to us now. Right now. Right now. Send evils and curses. Send evils and curses. And punishment and destruction. And punishment and destruction. To the heathen. To the heathen. That speak against us. That speak against us. Thy prophets. Thy prophets. The teachers. The teachers. The priests. The princes. The priests. The priests. The Israelite brothers. The Israelite brothers. And the school. And the school. Send evils and curses. Send evils and curses. And punishment and destruction. And punishment and destruction. To the heathen. To the heathen. And shake loose the slacking. And shake loose the treasure. And shake loose the treasure. of the rich of Israel,
of the rich of Israel,
that refuse to give to the school,
that refuse to give to the school,
boost their riches,
first their riches,
to enter
to enter
into thy sanctuary,
into thy sanctuary,
to the evils and curses,
that evils and curses,
and punishment and destruction,
and punishment and destruction,
to the Edomites,
to the Edomites,
and the nation,
and the nation,
and their drug dealers,
and their drug dealers,
the court system,
the court system,
the prison system,
the prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments are enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Israelite synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
the Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
Skinhead, Posse Comitazi,
Party Kamikaze,
the gay movement, the lesbian
Lesbian
movement,
movement,
spies,
Spies,
workers of witchcraft,
Brothers of Witchcraft,
NASA space program,
that's Space Program,
Army,
Navy,
Navy, Air Force,
Air Force,
Marines,
Marines,
Wall Street.
Wall Street,
Open up the internet.
open up the internet,
And the airwaves.
and the airwaves,
The cable access channel.
the cable access channel,
And the radio channel.
and the radio channel,
Convict the spirit
convict the spirit
of any of thy people
of any of our people
that seek to stop us
that seek to stop us
and bring swift destruction
and bring swift destruction
to all the heathen
to all the heathens
that stand in the way
that stand in the way
or try to stop us
of trying to stop us
from broadcasting your word
from broadcasting your words
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues.
Let loose all the plagues,
Cause them to go to and fro
cause them to go to and fro
throughout the earth
throughout the earth
and consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plagues
Let the plague
shake the house
shake the house
of the thief
of the thief
and the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahweh,
Let Yahshua,
Michael,
Michael,
and Gabriel
and Gabriel
come down with the flying saucer
come down the flying saucer
and punish all the heathens
and punish all the heathens
that come up against us
that come up against us
as we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known
Cause it to be known
by all
by all
that it is the angels
that it's the angel
that have done it.
that has done it.
Cause it to be spread
Cause it to be spread
throughout the media,
throughout the media,
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause it to shake at thy coming.
In the name of Yahweh,
In the name of Yahshua,
thank you.
thank you.
Always.
Always.
So be it.
So be it.
Sir, which means a turn.
Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat, Imagine Barak, Yahweh Shabbat. That's my time. Courage salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Imagine Shabbat, Imagine Barak, Yahweh Shabbat. That's my time. Class dismissed.
That's right.
Yo,
Hold on, let me get offline real quick.
Run to the car real quick, nigga. Let me see. Wow, oh.